Cutters very downfield. He jacks it to Brown. China chasing. Too far. Brown trying to toe this ball, and he doesn't.
Coming up to this semi-final, and Ryan Lee sprinting into the end zone.
And she opens up a huge backhand arcing across the field, and that's a break for Colombia.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the beautiful city of Nottingham here in the heart of the East Midlands of the UK. It is the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships, and we are coming at you with some women's action this morning. We have Australia taking on China, and I am psyched about it. It's Benjamin Rees alongside Lorcan Murray, and I think you and I probably have that same kind of brimming with excitement buzz.
Very much so. These are two teams who are looking to prove themselves. We've seen them grow in stature, grow in confidence throughout their opening 3 games. We know for a fact that while China are still looking for their win, they get more points in every matchup, with quite a close battle against New Zealand yesterday, while Australia were able to pick up their first victory against Ireland yesterday with a commanding second half performance. And as you can see, they are based on vibes, and those vibes are emanating off the pitch. We're about to see some great matchups as we have a quick look at the pools so you can understand the standings right now, Benji.
Yeah, both of these sides are in Pool A, 2 pools of 7, and the top 4 sides in each pool going straight through to quarter-finals. So as it stands, Australia probably in that driving seat for the 4th position and taking the quarter-final berth. Not been so good for China, but again, as you mentioned, they're growing throughout the tournament, quite a young team.
So we are looking right now at 2 of the crucial players to watch for these Chinese sides. Hurang Yurang has got 9 assists. That is 3/5 of all the assists that China have thrown so far. She is going to be instrumental in all of the offensive structure that China are looking to implement against Australia. And that is an offensive structure that has gone from strength to strength. On the opposite side, just as deadly with the disc in hand, also with 9 assists so far, is Lucy Deller, able to move that all around the pitch, find those gaps, find those holes, and as well be a steadying presence. It's going to be quite a battle with those 2 lethal arsenals.
Certainly there are players from both sides that are willing to break out and announce themselves on the international stage, and I am looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds here this morning. A lovely morning here in Nottingham. It's a bit warmer than it has been, and I say this maybe touching wood, not quite as windy as well. We'll have a look at the starting 7s for both sides. Interestingly, with Australia, they don't tend to go with a traditional O and D line.
No, they in fact have several different groups, and they are all based situationally. So is that your big play line? Is that your zone defense line? Is that your upwind, your downwind line? They are based on being adaptable and being able to react to what the world, the elements, as well as their opponents are facing them with. And then when we look at that starting line for China, another player to keep a big eye on is Zhang, who has 6 goals so far in this tournament, as we have a quick look at the conditions that will be facing these 2 young sides.
Yeah, there is some cloud in the air, almost inevitable in the UK, and it's a little bit cooler as it's still in the morning, but it will heat up as the day goes on. Potential of some rain about the lunch break, and then not quite as windy as it has been yesterday, I think, mercifully for all the players involved.
Apparently, and I don't want to tempt fate, we know that those are some fickle sisters playing with our hearts, but the worst has hopefully passed. You still have to react to the wind, of course you always will. This is in the North Atlantic. It's just a natural part of life, but the sun will hopefully stay out, stay shining, and it'll help illuminate all of the wonderful ultimate that we're going to see today.
Australia won the flip, opted to take defense, try and send a message, set the tone early on. China receiving in the left-hand end zone, so they'll be going downwind, with the wind kind of going left to right from the main camera and towards this near sideline as well. Ball is up in the air, and we are underway here. Opting to let the ball hit the floor and then field from there. Here is, as you mentioned, the instrumental Yurong Huang. Sneaked the inside through. Dumped off by Siwei Zhu. And there's the big arm that we talked about. Again, looking to be a playmaker with her throws. And what a throw that is as well from Yuron Huang. Judged that one to perfection and caught for the score. China taking a 1-0 lead.
Hurang to Zhang. You can expect that connection all game long. Australia are going to need to zero in on it, but we know that they can. When they were playing Ireland yesterday, took them a few points to recognize the dangers. This is the danger when you come up against the Chinese women's side. Beautiful shot, well weighted, perfectly weighted for under the pressure, as we have a great look, huge space. They nearly got a turn on the first throw. I like that decision. We're just going to bomb it deep as soon as that opening appears.
Again, I love teams that go to a deep game early on, even if it doesn't necessarily pay off. The fact that you are stretching the field, it means the defense is always concerned about when that shot's going to go up, and it gives you those unders a little bit easier, I think, as the game goes on. I think you also see there why China chose to take that end zone at the start, because throwing with the wind, you can just sit it out there and let it glide into the end zone.
So it'll be interesting to see how the Australian offense responds. It will be a downwind line as opposed to a more dedicated offensive line. But we can see there from the sounds on the sideline, their vibes have not been dampened.
Was sneaking a little bit of their game against Ireland yesterday, and after a tight first half, they really pulled away in the second, as despite the layout from Julie Chong, she can't quite get there, and China will get an early break chance. Ma Mengyao throws that straight back into Sailea Madoya. Here's the deep shot. Zoe O'Connor opens it up, and that is a peach of a throw into the end zone for the score. Della, excuse me.
On the receiving end, that's Angela Pigeon taking full flight. You can expect her to pick up plenty of scores. Another huge player to watch, playing for the Firetails as a national experience on the junior side, and now for the Stingrays. As we have a look at that first turnover, but Australia able to quickly get it back and wasting no time centering it and shooting it. So far, Angela Pigeon has 10 goals. That makes it her 11th goal of the tournament. Huge range. You can expect her to put her body on the line to collect some of those discs. That time she didn't have to. The throw right into her path.
There is no one in the division who has more goals received than Angela Pigeon. And I think you're seeing why.
You got to catch that pigeon. But it's a tall order.
You mentioned about the Firetails. The Under-24 women are the Stingrays. Each of Australia's teams have their own specific identity. In the Under-24s, it's the Stingrays for the women's, Goannas for the open, and the Blue Bottles for the mixed. And this goes through all the age groups. In fact, Australia does it for all their different sports as well. So it's not just about representing Australia, trying to give each team a little bit of its own identity and culture.
I think it's wonderful, especially because they are all native animals to Australia. Although I've often wondered with their soccer team, like, what is a socceroo?
It's not important right now. But I've always wondered that as well. There we are. There's the loud calls from the Aussie sideline. Coming out with a zone, trying to throw something different at their opponents. You're wrong. Finds the little thread through there, little dish off downfield. Zhang Lu rolls the wrist around the flick. Now you're wrong. You can see gets down low and just sits that one out into space. I thought that throw could have gone, but just choosing not to try and push things here. Keeping calm, keeping secure, and then tried to float it over the top. And Matilda Needle slaps it out of the sideline.
Perhaps getting a little too addicted to that near sideline open side play.
So coming in right from the front cone, can Australia work the full central zone and find a break? That one just a little bit far off the hand. I thought it might float up for a little bit, but it does flutter to the turf. Huang Yurong picks up again. Going with a 2-5 vertical set. Trying to get the inside flick through. Emphatically denied by the Stingrays and Panya Preston. What a block. As Australia's side thrives, as many of the under-24s do, off that energy, those big moments. Can they capitalise? Thompson goes underneath to Alicia Chua, who's a big defensive presence on this side. The throw, though, is a little bit behind. You can see how the wind just picked up that point of release. It doesn't want to take on the break throw there, instead rolling the wrists around it. Couldn't quite find the laying out you're wrong. Nandan finds Preston. Preston opens up the arm, gets the edge on it right, but there's a bit too much on trying to find Julia Kabai.
Really nice setup, deep shot from that 2-5 structure that their D-line is operating with.
Puts a little bit of air underneath that break throw downfield. You're wrong. High release backhand over the shoulder. Oh, a little bit of a bobble, but composure and focus maintained by Zhang Lu. Back into the hands of the talismanic Yurong, who's directing traffic downfield. Finds the underneath cut. Lu again, who is so dependable there. Zhu Siwei. Wanted to run it through the handlers for a little bit, but faked the option off. Lu again frees herself up downfield. Can she get it past the defender? No. Just again, a little bit undersold on the shot.
This Australian defense doing a fantastic job of closing those gaps.
Australia working it towards this break side, putting a bit of air underneath the huck. Again, I like the option, but it's too far once more.
You see, they are trying to move into a power position all the time. Thea Osmond has got a cannon, but it is misfiring a little bit right now.
I think they need to get those deep shots developing a little bit earlier.
I would agree, or maybe holstering it ever so slightly. The timing just seems to be a bit off as those discs are hitting the turf about 5 meters ahead of their intended receivers.
But holstering it's no fun. I don't agree. I don't disagree with your assessment, though.
I don't disagree with yours.
Lu, oh, going to go off the hands. Layout, can't secure it. Australia looking to strike quickly. This is going to float, but it doesn't matter. Matilda Needle makes the catch, and that is a break for Australia. They take a 2-1 lead.
Big grab from Matilda Needle. We saw her get a great block earlier on as well. She's only been playing for 3 years, started in late 2020. And something you've got to really consider with that is the impact that COVID would have had on your training experience and how much you get to go out there, how many tournaments you got to go. So to be able to come here to these big tournaments, it's one of the major challenges a lot of these players are facing, as this is their first intense tournament. But right there you can see great work by Needle and another huge block. Australia, it looks like these windows are open. They absolutely are not, because these Australian athletes are shutting down those options. It's a big ask for the Chinese handlers to be able to be precise enough to find the space, and there, no hesitation, no regret. Preston to Needle for the score, the break, and the 2-1 lead.
The number of times China got close will encourage them, even if some red zone struggles early on in this contest. Of course, the point they scored came from that superbly judged huck from Yurong. So one of the things I think that's easily overlooked is when you get yourself into those advantageous positions, can you be efficient and can you be clinical when the space is often at a premium?
Well, we will see.
Start with the initiating cup up line from Ma Men Yao. You could see was favouring that inside flick and managed to squeeze it through. Lovely execution. Chen Ying looking it around the back again, a little bit of a floater but secured. Song Ruyi sliding onto the turf. Chen Ying keeps it up, and now that one is going to go through the hands. You could see that although Australia weren't getting blocks, they were right on the shoulder for most of those passes. High grab made there well by the number 24, Hannah Shears. She wants to open up the arm in towards the end zone. What a shot to Kat Buxer to make it 3-1.
Amazing grabs by Shears and Buxer. Sometimes you catch that, you want that momentum, you want to ride that emotion. That is something Australia are built on, and they are vibing right now. Huge grab, comes down, sends it to the 17-year-old Kat Buxer out here, showing some of those adults how it is done. As we're going to have another quick look. China were working well. I thought they were going to be trapped on that far sideline for a while, but like you said, great break, and then they were able to swing, move it back. A little bit unfortunate in the end. And there she is showing she can get it done on both sides. Big grab, bigger throw, acres of space. And a fantastic grab by Buxer to bring it down. She's been playing with Chile Ultimate Club for 3 years now. Based out of Middle Park.
3-1 Australia lead. Couple of breaks on the spin for them now. And you do wonder against some of the, the teams that are shorter in stature, how often teams look to open it up. Australia certainly seem like they have no fear in putting those shots deep.
Well, when they're coming off. But I think that's a big thing about Australia, the way they play is about not having fear. You can see when they're warming up how they approach everything. It's such a well of positivity. We saw them love bombing each other before their game against Ireland yesterday. They are fantastic at keeping that mentality in the right place and trusting each other.
First pass is short. Trying to find a way through. Zhang Lu sneaks that one underneath the mark. Lovely release. Now trying to move traffic away downfield. Zhang Haitang into the inside window that was closed by Shurin Shaban. Australia looking to pick up quickly, but a miscommunication in the handler space. And then defensively as well, just a little bit of insecurity. Can they exploit it to the back of the end zone? They can. Excellent recognition from China. Zhang Lu finds Zhang Haitang for her second goal of the game, and it's 3-2.
And we see another example of just how lethal Zhang can be. As soon as that opportunity came, the turn was there. She took off immediately. We saw Australia get their first break of the game through the exact same approach. When that opportunity arises, you have to be ready, willing, and able to take it. The turnover happened. And immediately, as we see, there's the first block. There's going to be a quick turnover here, but just watch. Zhang is gone. And great recognition. This time from Zhang Lu, who sends it down the line to Zhang Haitang.
I also like that you could see her there making the signal for a turnover to let her teammates know, like, we've got an opportunity here. Let's go. Early on in this contest here at Under-24s, current score is Australia 3, China 2, and we'll see you very shortly. The World Under-24 Ultimate Championships here from Nottingham, UK. Women's division action. Australia up a couple of breaks here on China with a 3-2 lead. This stream is brought to you in collaboration with our partners, including, but not limited to, VC Ultimate, producing the best Ultimate gear for 25 years since 1998, including, of course, the very snazzy outfits that you saw us rocking in the pre-game. You love that new windbreaker, don't you?
I am a big fan of it. I'm also a big fan of top quality Ultimate. That's what we've got here, a very exciting contest between Australia and China.
Fielded by O'Connor. Centres to Della, one of the main distributors for this side. They get that isolation set up in the middle to Chong. No, downfield they find it. Angela Pigeon. See her more on the receiving end, but she'll have to try and break apart China with her throws. Raya Carpenter towards the break side. Sending the inside through with all due respect to Zoe O'Connor. She was suspiciously open there, and that's because there's been a pick.
You do have to ask yourself a couple of questions when you find someone in that much space, but still great work attacking the break side to make those options just a little bit easier to receive, if not to make the throw in the first place.
You can see what the plan is here. Get that nice tight vertical set downfield as O'Connor clears back into the stack. Really manipulating the force around. There might be a play at the back of the end zone. Couldn't quite drop in time for Saili Madwa.
The elements having their say in that instance and carrying it just out the back of the end zone. Australia try to keep players consistent when playing downwind so they can adjust more effectively to that condition.
So starting by going towards that far sideline with Chen Ying. Sticky dump coverage, but they managed to squeeze through the upline to Ma Mengyao. Again, you can see she wants a little bit more support in the backfield. Down the sideline, into that narrow channel, got a hand to it. But Mao Yilan could not secure it in time. Bit of air underneath it, utilising maybe the height matchup as there is a pick downfield.
And this is the danger when you're playing a lot of 2-5, and I am a huge fan of 2-5. It puts the fun in fundamentals, but you got to make those big clearing cuts, otherwise there will be a lot of picks.
Spacing is so important to an offense to prevent yourself getting bogged down. Pigeon dishes back to Della. Now Madwa towards the sideline. Oh, thought she was going to go and rake that break around. Instead, waiting for Della to free herself up line. Going to be a question about whether she was able to jump it in. I think they're in the end deciding that hadn't quite taken off yet, so she'll get it on that end zone line. And a little bit of confusion. I think another pick downfield. It's one of those situations where, are we in? Yes, no? Okay. Can we reset and get back into our flow and rhythm?
Yes, no, okay.
The cut frees itself. Oh, it's off the hands. Might get a second attempt. Not quite agonising there for the Australia receiver. I think that's Angela Pigeon, who is usually so sure-handed.
Difficult in these conditions. They've got to send that disc with some extra zip, and that asks a lot of the receivers.
Couldn't bring that one in despite those layout gloved hands. This time China can't connect on the swing on their own end zone line. O'Connor wants to strike quickly, gets the break off, and again off the hands of Pigeon. Might be a discussion about a foul on the force.
Just a little bit of contact.
You can see them making the sign for a player to come in and aid with translation. That's Liu Zuohan.
Did you see it?
Have a look at it, see for yourselves.
After the disc is from
Oh yeah, you are allowed to call a foul after.
yeah,
yeah.
we don't have time.
需要问一下他，
My teammates want to ask her captains of the game.
Are you saying the contact happened after the
Oh,
disc
no.
was released?
Oh no. I'm saying that my arm hit it before
Before?
but she's saying that I can't call it because
No,
Is that-
she's actually.
She's saying
telling
it's
us
after.
Her hand is standing still.
Okay.
Is still,
Oh.
and your
对，
hit.
但是爬落地了之后他才
That's
call the foul。
things she want to clarify.
okay.
但是我的手没动，爬落地就 call the foul。
Okay, so you think it was still, and you think her hand was moving and it was while the disc was in your...
Yes.
Hand.
It definitely hit before I threw it, but if you think you were completely still,
他是说，如果你觉得你的手是完全静止的吗？
So do you think you can come to an
我不确定
agreement?
但是他肯定
She's not so，
我能
sure
确定
about
是
whether
爬落地他 call the foul。跟他讲，
这是可以的。
这没有。
So
他必须是
if
fold
she was
进去
moving, by rule, that's a foul. Yeah.
他是说，如果你的手确实是在动的状态中，那确实可以叫一个 foul。 但是我不知道我的手动不动，我只是
Unless she's moving backwards.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So if we can't come to agreement, it's we should treat it as a foul contest.
就是说现在讨论时间有点太长，而且没有办法达成一致的contest.
Do the other hand
So what was your count?
Going to be a contested foul.
Yeah.
So stalling 4.
Such a difficult call to make because you're kind of always moving on defense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you haven't moved your arms in like that split second and they do throw into them.
I certainly understand why O'Connor called it. And that one, the cut comes all the way round from the back towards the open side. But red zone miscues now biting Australia. Carpenter with the layout, but it falls to turf. China wanting to open up the arm a little bit and stretch the field. And why not when it works like that? Chen Ying. Can they convert this for the break? Ma Mengyao. Little dish off there to the bespectacled Song Ruyi. Finding the underneath option. He Jinyan. And that was a really smart block there from Carpenter, who stepped into the throwing lane and got a hand to knock it away. Madouar. Little pop off there. There's the deep shot from Australia, judged to absolute perfection. Della, normally the distributor, this time she's on the receiving end for what is her first goal of the tournament. Although she has already got 10 assists.
To go along with her prodigious bevy of assists. Picking up a goal as well. Shout out massively to Rhea Carpenter. Big influence on that final point. She got the block, like you said, stepping into the lane. Here's that look at another look at that great deep shot. Really well read and taken down. But then just when you think you're safe, the Stingrays are circling. And then Rhea Carpenter launching it all the way down there. Look for a flick hook, she said, coming into this tournament.
She's not wrong.
Not wrong at all. Introduced to the sport by her older brother. And I'd say doing him proud right now if he's watching us from down under.
Yeah, a goal and assist already for Lucy Della. So it's nice when you pick out players as ones to watch and they step it up for you.
Makes us feel like we actually know what we're doing, Benji.
Don't let everyone know.
We do. I mean, yes. Confirms.
With the help of our wonderful Ulti-World production crew. Hurong finds a player poached in space. China already beyond midfield. Haitang. Lovely break again. Really utilising the option of getting it underneath the mark. Ambitious shot towards that far sideline from Liu, and it was just too far.
It was a fantastic bid by Zhu, but it was always going to be a little bit too far outside the sideline.
Australia looking for another break. China will try and pin them on this sideline. Now activating the reset, who clears through, can't get the throw out early enough, but I think it looks like there's a bit of a bump on the mark and the foul is called and accepted. Back in. You can see, oh, that is sneaky from Australia. Preston took advantage of the face mark of Yurong. Couldn't see where the disc was and caught it pretty much right off her ear. Another nice isolation set up by the Australians and boosted all the way into the end zone. What a shot that was out of the arm of Thea Osmond. (5-2) Australia lead with their third break of the game.
And Australia continuing to work that 2-5 going upwind. It is very, very effective. You know what they want. They want to get Osmond into that power position. It creates a lot of space. And we were talking about how they're struggling to get the timing right earlier in the game. That time it was timed to perfection. As we have another quick look here, you can see they get it on the under. They get the quick pop. So there, Osmond in the power position. She's looking this way for a deep shot, and then if we just let it play, they finally get the timing right, and they're able to send it deep down the field. The cut seeming to come from deeper, which is what you were asking for earlier on, Benji.
Yeah, either coming from deeper or coming a bit earlier, because that would hopefully try and eliminate those overthrows. And Nicola Cara had another receiver for company as well, just in case she wasn't there. But easy enough catch because they set up that power position really nicely, as you saw there. Here's a little bit of zone now from the Stingrays. Trying to outfox their opponents with their box of defensive tricks. I think a call for a potential double team there, which you see quite a lot actually happen in those cups, and it's rare to see players necessarily have the presence of mind to call it, so well recognised. It was a good option, that, I think, but that looked down to me, although players on the field seem happy it was up. The next throw, however, off the hands for China.
China have some of these inside breaks on some of their stronger throwers.
Accidentally cleans out her opponent, but everyone's okay. Miscommunication in the backfield. China's pressure downfield didn't allow any options to open up, and they earned themselves the turn. Looking for the inside shot through. What an inside shot through as well. Could not have dissected the Aussie defense any better than that. Chen Ying catches for the score, but it's all about that wonderful break throw.
Zhang Lu recognizing it early, and just as I was saying, sometimes when you're playing against these less experienced teams, you feel like you can trap them on the far sideline, force them to work to the open side, but Zhang Lu is one of the players on this Chinese side who's not afraid to take on those inside flick breaks that helps them open up the field, hit the opposite side, and really tear apart that defense. She's traditionally an offensive cutter, but with moves like that, she's going to be capable of a lot of damage, the 21-year-old.
So still got another cycle as well.
And able to get the first break on the score, well, not the first break, sorry, the first upwind for China on the board. And 5-3, so still very much in this.
Yeah, interestingly, so obviously when we look at a lot of teams from that part of the globe, generally they're a little bit shorter in stature, and how can you utilize that to your advantage? Utilize that low center of gravity for the, you know, the quickness, those quick turns, and especially if you're a little bit lower to the ground, utilize those low release as well. And I think China have done that superbly. It really comes in handy as well when you're trying to fight through the wind. Huang Yurong is here to pull. Bombs the backhand. I love there that just watched that one all the way in. Know how disappointing the drop pull can be. And the pigeon went to ground and just lost it out of her grasp. Break chance for China. First pass is the swing to Hu Ji. And then the run through block, speed across the grass there from Rickard's Tang. Picking up quickly. This time Rickard's Tang couldn't secure it. China want to make hay while the sun shines here. A lot of pressure on that one from behind. And foul called by the Chinese receiver, which does not surprise me.
You've spoken before, earlier in the game, that Australia are on every Chinese shoulder, putting huge amounts of pressure. We saw Rickard Teng get the block in that instance. We've seen Preston do the same. We've seen Needle do the same. Those run-through Ds turning on the jets and powering through, but you've got to make sure it's
foul,
clean.
and that's not contested.
You can be eager.
6 was the injured party. Yeah, it's agreed. It's uncontested. It's your disc. Are you okay? Do you need a substitution? Do you want a substitution? Trade her out. Do you want an injury call for the head impact? Are you sure? You had the knee to the head. Okay. knee or hip or something, so they did it. Okay?
I think you're seeing there, of course, the game advisor helping just to clarify what the outcome was there, and also, you know, there to help guard player welfare as well, especially with potential head injuries involved, because as we saw yesterday, those are, scary moments. On a high stall, choosing to try and hit the deep shot, climbing the ladder and ripping it down, Sailea Madouar. Wow. Again, the red zone defense from Australia has been magnificent, as Madouar, having got up, that time gets down. Utilising the wingspan well, Della looking to dice them up deep. Got it to Pigeon. There's the continuation from O'Connor. Can she find it through? Chinese defence get back into position, and they do the sensible thing there, Australia. Don't force it. Take that extra pass and punch it in the short field with Carpenter to Julie Chong.
That was Louise Della on full display at full extension. The huge grab, the no hesitation, lands, launches, laughs into the face of the wind.
Here was the block that got it back. I mean, utilising the height and the wingspan, but reading it superbly as well, and then taking the extra pass. Why force things when you can make it easy on yourself?
Especially when the defense is in that scramble mode after a big hut goes all the way downfield. You catch it outside of the end zone. So often we see people panic and then try to force it in. The best move is just give that fake. Let the whole defense rush past you to the open side. There will be an open swing to the middle. There will be a continuation to the break side. Incredible presence of mind from this young Australian team. They are vibing right now.
So thanks for watching our coverage here from the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. This our free game of the day, and if you want more, because we have full coverage from 2 pitches all week, along with a bonus third stream as well, then the place to do that is, of course, here at UltiWorld, ultiworld.com/subscribe. Start from simple event passes for this week up to full year-long subscriptions to support the coverage and growth of the sport, and it is thoroughly worth it.
They need to have a lot of fun, is the message coming from the leadership. It's a message I think is resonating through that entire Stingray squad right now.
It's one of these things, yes, it's a World Championship, and obviously you're taking it seriously, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy yourselves. A lot of these players will not necessarily have represented their nation, you know, on the international stage. Both of these sides have come a fair old way out here to Nottingham. Yes, it's a big occasion, but sometimes it's nice to drink that in and try and feed off it.
How do you stay in the moment without becoming blinded by it? And that is something I think positivity plays a huge role in. Like you say, you're not going to travel halfway around the world to not enjoy yourself. But sometimes we're all human. We start to get down on ourselves. Maybe you've had a couple of drops. Maybe like Australia, you've struggled in the end zone earlier in the game, and that's starting to seep into your mentality. And rather than let that hesitation come in, you start to think, no, this is my team. These are my people. We've come all this way to do this sport, to play it, to enjoy it, to live in this moment. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. And sometimes you do have to orchestrate that positivity in order to get it rolling.
Having the trust, the cohesion in that team, the strong leadership as well to pull you out of any potential funk is so important. You're wrong. Threads the needle through there. I'm not sure that Zhang Haitang was the initial target, but I'm also not sure that it matters. This time with the high release, just sits that one out beautifully into space for Zhang Lu. Takes the wide swing all the way across the field. Brilliant catch there made. Quick little dish off, and then trying to flow it all the way through into the end zone. The little pop pass for the score. Were a couple of moments that I thought, oh, have they maybe got a little bit over eager with some of those options? but they adjusted well. And I think the key there, that swing towards the far side, a couple of the Australia defenders, I think, assumed that it was going to be blocked. It wasn't, and China took advantage of the miscommunications.
Fantastic grab by Zhang Haitang. So we have another look at it. Stealing that one from the clutches of gravity. And there's the swing across, and this is what we've been looking for more of when they're both playing so much 2-5. Nice little play just into the middle and fitting that disc through the eye of a Matilda needle block. So China showing that they can go into the wind as well. You could see Australia were trying to pin them on that sideline. They were forcing China to take on that difficult swing throw, put it up into the wind. Let's see if you have those kinds of disc skills, to which China say, yes, we absolutely do. Not only that, we've got great receivers as well. That was a very impressive point. Zhang Haitang, Zhang Lu being instrumental in it, as well as Huang Yurong.
Well, when you are a young team coming to a tournament like this and you haven't necessarily had things your own way in those first few games, it sometimes can be difficult to pick yourself up from that. But China seem like they've targeted this game as an opportunity. They sense that they could be onto something here. Opening up the arm, Lucy Della weighs up the hammer beautifully. I thought they were going to go for the continuation into the end zone, but again, Australia looking to take the extra pass and just popped and dished in the end zone. Chong to Pigeon to 7-4, Australia within one of half.
One of the easier points Pigeon will have to catch. But again, Australia showing that composure as well. Sometimes when you're riding the vibes, you can become overexcited. You can overextend yourself. But here, that's the first hammer, by the way, I've seen all tournament. Coming out blady, but really well taken in by Chong. And there, the fake, pull the defense, take your time, take the open pass, and then finish the move. Incredible presence of mind and understanding of what is a common trope and failure. And it's almost, it's very impressive. The red zone offense that Australia have been able to show going upwind has been considerably more clinical than what they were showing downwind earlier in the game, showing how they adapt, how they build their way into this matchup. Now they are always ready.
I have seen some hammers, but most of them have come in the downwind direction. So going against the wind there, yes, it's not as strong as it has been at points in this tournament, but it's still a confident throw to try and execute. But the confidence, clearly well placed.
Much like that hammer.
That disc is going to just about land out of bounds on that far side. So Zhang Lu will probably gratefully take this to the brick mark. Been key so far for the People's Republic of China with a goal and 2 assists to her name.
And we've seen she has those breakthrows as well. China opting for more of a horizontal stack that they then meld in, but look, a curious one because it's 2-5, it's almost 2-4-1.
Trying to get the lead throw out into space. Seems like there was some sort of miscommunication there. Preston ready to pick up and get going. Lai with the booming deep shot. What a deep shot as well to Ashley Teo to make it 8-4, and Australia take half.
And they take it with influence. That's showing again that how they are setting up those lines, those groups based on situation, as opposed to dedicated O&D lines. That is some experience going downwind, and that's where they want to get it comfortable. They want people like Annalai on the disc so they understand how to weight those shots all the way downfield, and it is not an easy task. Finds Ashley Teo from Singapore originally, currently residing in Perth, the 22-year-old, and showing just why she's so trusted downfield to collect the disc.
So the Stingrays are loving life right now, up 8-4 going into the interval. We'll see what both of these sides can do, any adjustments they might make during our half-time break. The current score here on your free game of the day, brought to you by WFDF and Ultiworld: Australia 8, China 4.
for the first time ever, from the golden sandy blankets of Portimao, Portugal. ULA and Ulti-TV bring you the World Beach Ultimate Club Championship 2024. The best club teams in the world will converge on the Portuguese Algarve. With expectations for upwards of 150 teams, this promises to be a tournament worth bucket listing. Whether on the sands or watching the action from your screen, WBUCC 2024 is a tournament not to be missed.
Welcome back to coverage of the women's division here at the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships from Nottingham. Australia 8, China 4 is a half-time score. Let's have a quick look at the stats from the game so far. China got more clean holds than their opponents, but I think the key there is those 4 breaks for Australia compared to none for China.
Australia showing a lot of composure, especially in the latter stages of that first half, going upwind, especially the way they were able to complete moves and show a real clinical approach outside the end zone.
Cool. We are able to have a halftime interview here with the Chinese number 30, Huang Yurong. How do you feel that first half went for China?
Sorry. Yeah, pardon.
How was the first half for you guys out there?
Yeah, we have times like we play really hard. So Australia is just super strong team, and every time we get offense, we try to get a score, and we always try our best to get an offense, but we can't stop it. But I think it's good for China because we always do our best.
Your team's certainly trying very hard out there. It seems like Australia are poaching into the lanes, trying to step off your handlers. Do you have a plan to respond to that in the second half?
I would say we will more try inside flow, and it's a little bit windy there, but we try to use the break side and as possible have more space to go past rules. Yeah, that's it. We just try to go a lot of inside flows.
Lovely. Thanks very much. We'll let you get back to it out there. Good luck for the second half.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Always grateful to get players have that input during the half as well, because obviously we see it from one angle up here, but it can feel very different out there on the field. So it's nice to be able to kind of get into the game in that way.
And we will see if China are able to execute to the break side a little bit more. We saw glimpses of it, glances, shall we say, across the pitch, using the lateral width a little bit more, but it's not easy to do. Certainly in these conditions, it requires a lot of focus, a lot of spin on that disc. So we'll see how they can respond to this Australian pressure in the second half.
So 8-4 Australia lead at half. And as we mentioned, they took defense after winning the flip, so they will be receiving to begin the second stanza of this contest. Just measuring up the wind there. Ma Mengyao. With the pull, and the second half is in play here in Nottingham. The ever-reliable Della catching the pull. Now O'Connor towards the far side. Australia looking to utilise that break side themselves. Cut comes across the field. Good communication there to leave it for Pigeon. Defender maybe gets caught the wrong side ever so slightly, but close enough to dissuade the throw from going. Here's Della. Just rolling it across the backfield. Australia not finding the separation they like towards the end zone, so playing it through the hand. The selects a little bit of a float there to lead Carpenter taking on the aggressive break throw, and the call is answered by the ever-reliable end-zone threat of Angela Pigeon.
She's such a lethal presence, and you can see why as well. That throw looked like it might not have the full extension that Carpenter was initially hoping for, as it didn't make it to the far sideline, but Pigeon was able to recognize, turn around, and get there before the defense. And you've got to be aggressive in that situation to make sure you come down with the score. And that aggression has stood very well, not just to Pigeon, but to the entire Australian team.
Well, you mentioned that aggression, and there was an interesting use of that during half-time, the so-called love bombing. Do you want to give us a little bit more info about that, Lorcan?
Well, this is a positive instance of love bombing. It's a technique that the Australian team used. We saw them use it against Ireland yesterday when they were warming up for that game. Basically, they pair off and they just, from what I can tell up here anyway, scream compliments at each other. And then after a little while, once they feel sufficiently energized from that, they switch partners and then scream more compliments at each other. As far as, boosting your team up, I'm a big fan of it because, well, obviously up here it wouldn't work quite so well because we're not very comfortable with compliments, but down there it seems to really be energizing them and keeping them in the right mentality to go out there and get this win.
I think it's also nice for everyone's eardrums to not have a scream into the microphone that much. Lorcan, I love your energy on commentary. Oh, maybe we should adopt it actually, but off mic. Zhu Siwei to Zhang Lu, tried to squeeze it through. Oh, the poach didn't get the piece of it, but flashing late across the eye line there, it's so easy to get distracted, as the Chinese receiver was. The instant boost to the back of the end zone, the layout just can't quite come up with it. Such a shame for Hannah Shears going for the spectacular.
She was inbounds as well. That was phenomenal body positioning. There was a couple of people calling perhaps for the short under, but if you've got confidence in that throw, take it. So close.
Full commitment from Shears, and you love to see it. Squeezing it through, you can tell that Australia are trying to flash in there and get those poachers when they can. That looked down to me. Now that is one tacoed Ultra Star. Apologies to our friends over at Discraft, but we might need a replacement.
If you need to get replacements for your discs, there's no one better than Discraft. So we're going to have another look. Yeah, that's down. And out.
On a strange note, all of a sudden I've got a craving for Mexican food.
Did you have breakfast this morning?
Yes, I did. But not a breakfast taco, which sounds actually not bad right now. That one was a little bit behind. That is a sensational grab. What an adjustment there by Preston. We know that she has a live arm when she wants to. Looking for the lead throw. Preston climbs the ladder again and pops to the front of the end zone for Nicola Cara's second goal of the game. A break after that clean hold to start the second half from Australia. It's now 10-4.
That point was all about Panya Preston. Coming out of Melbourne, incredibly impressive grabs. Two of them in a row. The first one reaching backwards almost in time to rescue that disc, and then getting up as well. So we're going to have one more look at that breakfast taco.
It's rare that I've seen a disc quite so badly warped as that. I do remember one way back when at EYUC at 2017, someone laid out forward for it and just landed straight on the edge. But Australia, after that kind of, I must admit, a little bit of amusement, picked themselves up well to punch in the turn.
I feel like, once again, Australia is showing how effective they are going upwind in the red zone and attuned to the necessity of the situation. The way that they are able to create these small gaps directly in front of the handlers through the movement of all the players, so that the final throw doesn't have to be a big arcing swing. So the final throw isn't a handler who's getting stuck in a position and getting the stall late. It's somebody getting a quick pop, looking for a 5-yard pass to an open receiver, locking in together and securing those upwind scores. Crucial to success in this game and crucial to future success in this tournament.
We saw that Panya Preston now has 2 assists and a block this game, and you can see why she's represented at the very highest level, including with ellipsis out at the World Ultimate Club Championships. Foul on that throw.
And Australia wanting to waste no time. I like how quickly they're trying to get back into the action. It's not a bad habit to develop.
So translators are going to come over and help. We have 2 game advisors for this game, Jana Hammaker and Dan Godbold. And it's Dan who is going over to potentially help aid discussions here.
I like the bravery of Ma Mengyao to take on that shot. Came out a little bit low. The difficulty, of course, being in these conditions, if you want to release that a little bit higher, you might accidentally send it
stationary. I mean, you stood on
across
my
the road
foot.
and into the campus.
She stood on my foot, and then it.
你踩到他脚上了。
对，
So
但是
she
他的身
stepped
体
into me.
但是他的身体的一部分碰到了我，所以导致我的脚踩在他的哪，我这个也不太清楚，导致我的盘没有穿好。我认为这是一个 fall，但是我不知道他是怎么想。
哦，如果他想他已经站在那边，你是进他的。
但是他是移动的，他是木的，not stay
Yeah, but 如果他是这样，你在他的前面，那你 pivot 进他的。
但是我要往前的话，它是有圆柱体的。
I don't think my arm touched you.
他觉得那个就是你就是
对，
他没有主动的侵犯。
Okay, guys, that's been at least 45 seconds. Do we think we're going to come to an agreement, or are we contesting?
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I think
两边。
Foul contested. This back here. Can I check the stall count?
5, I think.
Stall 5.
They're just discussing about what the stall count is here. You can say that Ashley Teo came over to help aid with translation. We mentioned, of course, that she's originally from Singapore, so having someone who can speak Mandarin, an advantage in situations like this, because it's a lot better than mine is.
Yeah, that's a pretty low bar there, Benji. But you want to talk about having a high bar. Teo and I imagine an awful lot of these young Australians heavily influenced by Kat Phillips, a lot of them shouting out as their sporting hero.
We did see at half-time how they said they wanted to take on those inside shots a little bit more. That one was well executed, trying to keep some break side flow going, but that is going to stop it because there's a pick.
It requires a lot of bravery to come to the World Championships and take on those difficult throws, to be willing to put yourself in a position where this could go wrong. This could hurt, but you have to be willing to take those shots. We've seen hesitation. We've seen teams shrink somewhat under the lights and hesitate on those, and all it winds up doing is compounding the difficulties your offense is facing. We saw, you were talking about it with the huge deep shot they took early on. You've got to keep pushing the boundaries of what the defense is allowing you to do so that you can make things easier as the game progresses.
Chen Ying has the disc in her hand. There is no stall, so we'll come back in from 1. Nandan checks the ground, and we're back in play. Song Ruyi. Again, utilising the quick break throws, but maybe a little bit too much zip on that one. Option open underneath, but the throw's offline and straight into the gut there of Sun Yi Yang. Wanted to get that little dish off, decided against it because the defender was too close and they can't connect on the reset. Again, Australia looking for the quick pickup. Had a look to see if she could take on the break option. The handler cut comes all the way around and is just maxed. Unusually back into the grasp of Nandan. Now there's the deep shot that she was eyeing up, and it goes all the way through to Shelby Thompson at the back of the end zone. Another Aussie break, 11-4 in a most unorthodox fashion, Lorcan.
Yes, Nandan went for the short pass and it didn't quite work out. Through a little bit of serendipity, a little bit of fortune, perhaps. She winds up with the disc back in her hands. It did take a slight touch, otherwise that would be a turnover. And says, you know what, maybe short passes, wrong call. Time to go for a big one. So we're going to have another look. Great defense. Lots of pressure. China probably being their own worst enemies to a certain extent. There's the Mac. Just a couple of touches and Nandan heads up, plays, smiles, points, shoots, and scores.
You feel for the defender there, Yang Chin, because I'm not sure that Needle actually got a hand on it, and she sees the disc there and it's like, oh, I should probably better get the slap on this to make sure that she doesn't get a second effort. And in doing so, actually allows Nandan to be able to catch it again.
It's always the rough things. It's something that happens so frequently in this wind, is where you're like, if the defender hadn't touched that, would it have actually been a turnover?
So China looking to get their first point of the second half on the board. All miscommunication, but it's going to float. The layout came through but was too far away. Again, Australia being merciless after the turn, but that time the pass for Shaban goes to floor. Wanted to side that low break down the far sideline.
Elisa Chow going to the floor herself to get the block.
Della slashes through and opening up the hammer once more. Defender sees it late and that falls right into the bucket. Brilliant hammer from Della, lands in Chua's lap, and that makes it 12-4. And unbelievably, that is the first time Chua has been involved in a goal this weekend, which you think, for a phenomenal defensive presence as she is, that's a bit surprising.
Elisa Chua has been a huge threat, getting many a block, exerting pressure just about every inch of the field she's on. Della, delightful. I've been praising the upwind offensive efficiency of this Australian team, but you know what? I haven't seen a single hammer so far in any of the games that I've been covering. Della's like, well, how about I give you 2? And how about they get better each time? Also, Chua picking up the score, her first, but not her first contribution to this team. She plays with Rogue Ultimate Club, attending the University of South Wales. It's her first club season this year, and at 22 years old, she's got plenty ahead of her. With that kind of ability, she's going to be terrorizing offenses for a long time to come.
I was like, University of South Wales, that's where I live. And then I was like, oh, no, New South Wales. Yes, all right, I'm with you.
Oh, that other one.
The other South Wales.
Completely different.
That's literally, it might literally be the antipode of where I live, which is, for those unaware, it's the point that if you went right through the earth, it's where you'd come out on the other side.
Speaking as someone who didn't understand that word, I'm going to, thank you very much.
It's a learning experience for all of us. Again, the Australian sideline trying to get loud, took on the break throw once more, and was contacted when doing so, accepted foul. 7 breaks so far this game for the Aussies.
And a very impressive second half performance. They got the offensive hold to open it up, and then 3 breaks since.
Underneath pass there to Yang Chin. Back central, Ma Meng Yao. Ruyi, again wanting to take on the break throw, but got a bit of air underneath it, showed the underside of the disc to the wind, and the wind, that was all the invitation it needed to push it away. Thompson, Chen.
Getting one back on Nandan in that instance.
Meng Yao wants to take on the expansive backhand down this sideline, but a travel called.
Wind really gusting as well. This is going to take some zippy throws.
Not the time to be going upwind, but chose with options not quite there, decided to open it up and gun it. There's the deep shot available. Oh, I thought that Nandan was going to pull the trigger this time. She's being a bit more reticent to do so, and the underneath pass is blocked there by Ma Meng Yao on the force.
Really impressive, stepping across, reading the play perfectly and getting the Australians back. Those Aussies have been fantastic at recognizing what's about to come and involving themselves downfield, much to the chagrin of the Chinese offense. But that time, Ma getting one back.
You can see the Aussie coaching staff on that far sideline. giving instructions to their young chargers. And it is smothering coverage, and they choose to open up the deep shot downfield, read superbly by Mao Yilan. And there is a foul, I think, away from the disc, right in the back, far in the backfield. I love that deep shot there because the edge took it over and away from the defenders.
And taking advantage, the Aussies were going under of the receivers at the back of the stack, thinking there's only one way this disc is going to come at us, and it's going to come at us from the under. It's going to come low. China showing again that they have that range, they have that versatility. It hasn't always been available to them, but they have always had the bravery to take the shot on.
No, that's fine. It was excellent.
Okay. So it's a foul, but it's offsetting. Disc stays there, and we just restart play with a check once everyone's clear. Yeah, that's fine.
Offsetting fouls to call. Always nice to be able to mic up the game advisors so we can actually be privy to the discussions on field rather than having to recklessly speculate.
I mean, it's not quite as much fun, but it is much more professional.
So back in play after that check. Dumped off back to Meng Yao. Again looking to exploit that break side space. And they got the defenders over and cleared the middle of the field. Unfortunately, just grasped the throw. A little bit of float there. There's the option for the break side boost. It's taken over the first receiver and it just drops before Needle can get a hand underneath it. So close for the Stingrays. Bit of a collision there, but I think it was between two teammates maybe. I think just a stoppage to check they're okay. Again, and looking for the inside shot, but I think Australia have got wise to that ploy now. This time going with the IO flick, or the receiver just never turned round to pinpoint the disc. It's tricky when it's almost directly behind you like that, because you look over one shoulder, look over the other, and it's never quite in your peripheral vision.
If you need to look twice, you're in trouble.
So dumping back into their own end zone. Ruyi finds the underneath pass. Yi Nian. Oh, it might be there for the bid. One of those agonizing ones where you can't quite get it, and it just teases you like the carrot on the string in front of you. Again, Australia looking to open up underneath it, and off the hand of the backup receiver there, Julia Kabai.
Teased with the carrot, and then the throw didn't stick.
Nice. That one goes through the hands there of Mao Yilan. Another red zone opportunity. Australia wanted to see if they could get the quick pickup. The first option wasn't there, but the second one was caught by Thompson for the score.
Thea Osmond, we've seen her be deadly going into the wind, playing downwind right now. As those different groups that the Australians have, they have about 7 different ones, so players pull across from each side across them. Something I'm really liking from China, while it hasn't been very successful, people like Zhang Lu have clearly been trying to force the disc more over to the break side in this second half. As we're going to have another look, that was an earlier shot. Nicely weighted to their lethal receiver, Zhang Haitang.
Yeah, this was an absolute beaut, that one. That low release inside flick. That it's like a surgical scalpel, the precision across field. And yes, she's there backing up for the goal as well.
Getting it done on all sides of the pitch, and she gives us a little wave. That is Zhang Lu. But again, I just wanted to shout out, we have seen China certainly trying to attack that break side more, and in really smart ways with the dump swing around the back and then trying to use their body to make the throws just a little bit easier. It's not quite coming off yet, but you can see the strategy being implemented.
as a player who is shorter in stature, I always enjoy seeing those on a more diminutive side go and ball out on the pitch.
The woman herself, disc in hand.
Liu splits the difference and finds the underneath pass. Now here's the deep huck that we saw in the first half. Can they read it? Not quite. The defender just suckered Zhang Haitang into getting too far underneath it.
And that Huang-Zhang connection not quite coming off this time.
Australia wanted to see if they could run it through that poach, but not quite. Well-timed cut coming underneath there from Nandan. The slashing en passant cut there from Zoe O'Connor. Down the sideline with the layout from Rhea Carpenter. That is magnificent for the Stingrays. 1 point away from the win here, 14-4.
Rhea Carpenter having herself a game. We had her on our list to keep an eye on at the start of the matchup. She has been fantastic in this tournament so far, coming into it with 4 assists, 3 goals, one of the most versatile players for Australia at this tournament. She's picked up another 3 assists and 2 blocks and a goal there in stunning layout fashion.
Yeah, another one of this Aussie contingent who's on that really sparky and spicy young rogue team. One to watch for the future there. Another timeout on the field from China, seeing if they can pick themselves up, find a way to get back on the board and finish the game on a high note.
Something that we noticed from watching the Chinese side play yesterday as well. They were so effective. They were just saying every point is a win. This is their first major tournament. Every one of these is a lesson. So at 14-4 down, there is still plenty to play for.
Yeah, we'll see if China can get themselves back on the board or Oz can finish strong. 14-4 the score. I'll put my teeth back in and we'll see you on the other side.
48 teams representing 22 countries look to cement their legacy in Limerick at the 2023 European Ultimate Championships. You can join them. Watch live for free only on Ulti TV.
Second half, 14-4, they lead China. And if you want to, of course, see more coverage from throughout this week, where we've got 3 pitches for you, ultiworld.com/subscribe is the place to go.
And you won't just get great coverage of those 3 pitches. There's also top quality reporting from this tournament and all year long. Ultiworld.com, #1 destination for your ultimate news.
So we'll see what China cooked up during that timeout. Maybe gone into the flick coaching manual to see if they can steal some set plays. Huang Yurong with Australia coming out in a zone, trying to get the floaty one over the top. Nearly stolen away by the bespectacled Zhang Haitang. Ashley Teo taking advantage of the face mark, rolling it around to our handling partner there, Osmond. Osmond opening it up, looking to jump it into the end zone. Our Chong is just on the end zone line, but that one is going to punch it in for the score and the victory. Julia Kabai makes it 15-4 final score.
Really impressive performance by Australia. They came out firing. Those vibes were everywhere across this pitch, and you could see it. They used just about every inch of their squad, had something to do with something positive in that matchup. The different situational groups that they have being used to full effect. Upwind, downwind, zone, 2-5. And at the end of the day, teamwork. And really great awareness. A lot of times people will catch that look, panic. Something Australia have shown, perhaps not in the first few points of the game, but certainly as the game going on. It's a really clinical approach to the red zone in both directions. And that is something that's going to stand to them as we continue to work our way through this tournament. This was a big win. Australia picking up their 2nd win of the pool and continuing their campaign to make it into the quarterfinals.
So we're going to see if we can grab a post-game interview with you, and we have managed to grab the #1 jersey for the Aussies, the Stingrays. Rhea Carpenter joined us at pitchside. It was quite an even start to the game, but you guys really pulled away, especially in the second half. What do you think was key to that for you?
We really found our energy in the second half, really just keeping the vibes up. I think we found it easier to convert in terms of offense. Our connections started coming once we got the turn. So yeah, that was a really good second half for us, a good push.
And speaking just a momentary about your defense, you had 2 blocks in that game, but were you trying to put them under pressure through poaching in the lanes? Because it seemed like that at times, but also a focus on being really strong on the match. So what was your defensive strategy coming into this game?
It was sort of just keeping our heads up, looking where the disc is. We're all quite experienced players, so we sort of use that experience to know when we can look for those poach blocks, but it's really keeping intensity on our match defense as well. So it was really good.
For those watching at home, either here in the UK or maybe way back in whatever the time is in Australia right now, some point in the evening, could you kind of sum up what it means to be a Stingray?
Yeah, I love being a Stingray. It's really important for us back home. We have a lot of Stingrays still playing at a really high level, which is awesome. So I'm really glad that we could do them all proud, and I hope they're watching back home and cheering us on. We love the support, and we just want to keep doing well throughout this tournament and make them all proud.
I'm sure you're doing that. Go back and celebrate with the rest of your teammates. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Lovely there to speak to Rhea Carpenter, who had herself a hell of a game. A tight, engrossing contest at the start, and then as it wore on, Australia really showed their quality. They're looking like a team that is getting better and better as this tournament goes on, but still some really strong moments for China as well.
Plenty of positives to take away from China. They weren't afraid, which is such a huge thing. They were taking on the big shots. They were trying new strategies, trying to go to the break side more in the second half. It wasn't a successful second half in terms of scores, but I think in terms of adaptability and learning how to play at this high level for the first time in pretty much all of these players' careers is vital. The support here in the stands, the support at home, so crucial to what the Australians are doing well and how they will continue to play.
So 15-4 final score here. Australia with another win in the women's pool play stage on behalf of the WFDF and Ulti World. And Lorcan Murray alongside me, Benjamin Rees. We'll see you soon.